Springfield High School ice hockey family. This is Phil Eastman. Hope everyone is healthy and safe out there in these difficult times. You know, one of my favorite postseason activities is our banquet. And unfortunately, given the circumstances, we aren't able to break bread together, get together as a large group this year. But we wanted to take the time to reflect back on the season, recognize our players, our student athletes, and recognize everyone who's helped to make this season possible and helped to make this season the success that it was. So we're doing this virtually. We've got some videos here. So imagine you're at the banquet, imagine the buffet. In fact, if you've got a buffet at home, that would even make it even more realistic. But hope you enjoy the videos. Spoiler alert, Fran Dorr did an amazing job on the year-end video that captures the on-ice activity. So I want to start with some acknowledgments. First of all, I want to thank all the parents for your support throughout the year and recognize the sacrifice both in terms of time and money. And hopefully you players also appreciate this. Now would be a good time to thank those that helped make it possible for you to play, because without that commitment from our families, we can't do what we do, and players don't have a chance to participate in this great sport playing for a school that we all love. So a couple specific acknowledgments. First of all, I want to thank our school district, our superintendent, Tony Barber, our high school principal, Joe Hepp, our athletic director, Glenn Mallon, and our assistant athletic director, Tom Lemieux. We get tremendous support from our school district. We are very grateful for that support. It means an awful lot to us, and we can't do it without the support of the school district. And speaking of people that we can't do this without, our board, our volunteer board, they put an awful lot of time into managing the program. Our president's Bill Rice, Vice President Scott Francis, Treasurer is Fran Dorr, Secretary is Stacy Hannigan, our equipment manager is Joe Doherty. They, again, just want to thank them for all the time that they put into managing the club, handling registration and paying bills and collecting money and all that, all those important tasks that without which we can't do what we do. And I want to give special recognition to Bill Rice. Bill and the Rice family have had 3 sons that have played in the program, and Bill has served on the board for 10 of those 12 years. And with Steve graduating this year, this will be Bill's last year on the board. And just want to thank you, Bill, for everything that you've done. He's been willing to do anything it takes on behalf of our program over the past 10 years. And as I said to Bill, no one has had a bigger impact on our program over the last 10 years than Bill. I really mean that. And so it's my heartfelt thanks to you, Bill, for everything that you've done, and really the entire Rice family, because as everyone knows, the Rices are in it together, and not just Mike, Joe, and Steve, but the entire Rice family, from having pasta parties to selling 50-50 chances at the alumni social. The Rice family is all in it. If there were a Mount Rushmore of families for the Springfield ice hockey program, the Rice family would be on it. So thanks to you, Bill, and thanks to the Rice family for everything that you've done. We really appreciate it. Other acknowledgments. Way back at our Penn State trip last August, Dave Curtis for letting us use his trailer, Paul Klein for towing it up to State College, our chaperones, Rice Francis Klein, Rysack Huntley, Dilbeck, Noel, Zagraki, and Rich, and Coach Pat McCunney for designing and handling the T-shirts. Our alumni game and participation, Adam Porsche and my son Phil for organizing the alumni and soliciting the sponsors, Stacy Hannigan for everything from the raffles to the venue to the menu to pretty much everything for the social. Janet O'Connor, Lynn Quimby, Jen Huntley helped Stacy with the raffle baskets. Kate Dorr for her help in getting everything together, and again, the entire Rice family for greeting everyone at the door and raffle sales and everything else, and generally having a good time, which is what it's all about. So sponsorships, all of our local sponsors, I want to highlight Oliver Heating and Cooling and Bill's Auto Body. They've been sponsors for a long, long time and continue to support the program, so thank you to them. Scott Francis and Stacy Hannigan for pounding the pavement, gathering local sponsors, and Melissa Rysack again for her help in securing corporate sponsors like EDIS. Team fundraiser night, Stacy for organizing the Freddy's team fundraiser meal nights, and thanks to Freddy's. Our pasta night, hosted by Bill and Terry Rice, with help from Teresa Bassett. Bob Artis and the Country Club rink for donating the ice slot we used for pictures. Sue Knoll for another great job organizing and managing the sale of the spirit wear. The senior parents for organizing senior night. It's always a special memory for the players. And then a couple things associated with the Central League Championship. Stacy for her work on the championship T-shirts. Jeff Crane for the design and distribution of the banners. And Springfield student Dara Campo for his photography contributions at the game. Lastly, I mentioned earlier Fran Dorr for compiling the year-end video, which is always a great memory. So now I'm going to turn things over to our JV coach Pat McCunney. As I've said in the past, we are very blessed to have terrific JV coaches. Pat McCunney, Mike Burr, and Greg Vinci helped out toward the end of the year. Having good JV coaches is so important for our program, helping the younger players develop and providing the upperclassmen with leadership opportunities. So they do a terrific job with the JV team, and just want to thank them and acknowledge them. I'll turn it over to Pat.
Thank you, Phil. Hope everyone is doing well and is healthy. Went with the more casual, laid-back look due to our situation. I'll look to keep my end of the video as short as possible to make sure everyone stays well. Before I jump into the JV season recap, individual player mentions, and the awards, I wanted to give a shout out to the seniors. Congrats on amazing senior years, as well as the 4 years, the body of work that was put in, all the hard work, devotion. You guys left this program in a better place than when you got here, and you look to continue that tradition well on into your future endeavors. This is obviously an unusual circumstance, as a year-end banquet usually is a great way to give closure to a, not only a final year, but a whole career, and really chance to recognize the body of work that you've put in, and unfortunately that was kind of taken away from you all, and hopefully there's brighter times ahead, and I assure you that there are. But I just wanted to make sure that we look forward to seeing you at games afterwards, and as I mentioned already, good luck in the future. The board, I wanted to mention them. The individuals know who they are. Can't thank them enough from the coaching standpoint, how easy they make things for us, just so we can handle the hockey aspect of the year. But all the preparation and hard work, long hours and volunteering that go into off-season preparation to make sure we're running like a well-oiled machine when the season starts. and then that ball continues rolling with all the behind the scenes work that is done throughout the year. It is truly appreciated. I know for myself and the rest of the coaches with me, and I'm sure everyone has seen that in full effect as well. To the parents, especially at the JV level, with a lot of the kids unable to drive themselves to practices and games. Thank you for getting them there on time. I try to stress that to them. And, we have seniors and upperclassmen that step up to get the kids there, but in most cases, it's usually a parent. We appreciate the continued support throughout the year at the games and even practices when you're there, those odd hours of the night on a Sunday. Also, big thanks to my other coaches, Mike Burr and Greg Vinci. They were a huge help all year. They deserve, you know, all the accolades, and mentions for, preparation with practice, running practice, games, just the operations of everything, and really manning the ship. While we're, as a unit, kind of able to, you know, corral, the large group that we had. To recap the year, we had a successful season, posting a record of 8-5-2, which landed us second in the division. If you flip those numbers around, unfortunately, it's 258, and that was a league best for penalty minutes. We aren't the biggest fan of that stat, but it really goes to show the character of our team. These guys were not afraid to mix it up, get in the corners, and just go to war, go to battle for the guy next to him. This is due to the upperclassmen leadership, and which that consisted of a very unique senior class. So the freshmen took note of that, sophomores as well took note of that, and understood that these guys were going to go to war every game, and they followed suit. We had a up and down season for the most part. Went on a string of wins in the early third of the season, and kind of hit a rocky spot at the end of the year, but we're playing some pretty good hockey. We made a great run in the playoffs, making all the way to the championship, and just came up a couple goals short of our mission to win everything. Unfortunately, we dominated the play the whole way from the last 5 minutes of the first period all the way to the final whistle, and things just didn't end up in our favor. It really went to show the effort and fight that this team showed from day one, throughout the year, and couldn't be more proud of them. We were dealt a hand where we had an abundance of players, which is always a good thing to have, but that required us to have healthy scratches, mainly 2 players, roughly a game, and that is certainly a tough thing to cope with, because I know all those guys want to do is play every shift, every period, every game. And as coaches, we really commend them for adapting to that situation. Now we can dive into our team intros. We'll cover it by position, by class. I'll start with the D corps. Really had a strong year. Came together more as a unit as the year went on. Each guy brought something different, to the group and the team. It always works better when you have 6 or 7 guys that do something different as opposed to 4 or 5 that all do the same thing. Dealing with the large group of players, sometimes these guys were playing with 5, sometimes 6 or 7 as well. So they weren't always in the same pairing for a shift, 2 shifts in a row, a period, or a game. They worked with us, tremendously, and I know it was tough, just all around for the whole team to deal with that. But this group, ranged from a guy like Fran Deur, who was a great stay-at-home defenseman, odd man rush, good for pass breakup to eliminate scoring opportunities. Chris Rich, coming through like a freight train, was throwing huge open ice hits all year, all legal. I was very proud of him for that. Tyler Beecher, really really came into his own, and as the year progressed, uh, as far as his ability to reverse and elude players in our defensive end, to escape, and when a breakout failed, able to carry the puck out himself, to lead us, down the ice, and possibly set up a scoring chance, or eliminate any threat on the defensive side. Dom Perini, a freshman, smaller guy, not afraid to throw his body around. Great hip checks along the wall. It was fun to watch that. Um, and I know some of bigger guys like myself don't always appreciate that. So Dom is someone that definitely adds a physicality, on the back end, which we love. Another freshman, Aiden Curtis, the guy would make these two zone tape to tape passes, and send one of our guys in, for a scoring opportunity. And Robbie O'Brien, moving up and down the ice, dare I say, like Ray Bork, but his ability to go, coast to coast, and possibly set up a scoring opportunity, um, and put one in the back of the net himself. Was always you know a one or two time occurrence, every game. Each one of them, really made a large impact. Just not only on the group but the whole team as well. Grew tremendously individually, you know, on and off the ice, and as players as well throughout the year. Um, so thank you to the decor. And this point, we'll transition into the forwards, which we kind of broke them up by class. This was our, I guess you could say, our mini army. 14 forwards who brought plenty of Genos, plenty of grit, and unlimited jokes to our lineup, which definitely kept things light throughout the year. The whole group ranged in height and age, um, small to tall, and young to old. Every single one of them contributed, to a different facet of the game. And as I mentioned earlier, always keeping us on our toes. First, that recognize the senior class, which I said was special group of guys. Had some of them for last year, and some of them who have only been here for a year or two. But they added tons of leadership, passion, and even a select few of them had endless chirps. And recognize that senior class on the forward side of things: Anthony Peters, Alex Klein, Jack Bassett, Brett Barber, Stephen Rice, and Ryan Zagraki. The next group we'll cover lumped in the sophomores and juniors. So these guys are kind of moving into the upperclassman role, and more leadership roles. But this group accounted for a lot of our scoring, a ton of physicality, as well, and some great two-way hockey. Understanding both sides of the puck, and playing all 200 feet regardless of position. Zach Perkins, Pat Doherty, Nate Wyant, and Ronan Mulholland. Lastly is our freshman class. And it leads me to believe that the program will be in good hands in years to come. I'm definitely excited. It seems like a large freshman class that came in this year, and so there will be definitely good hockey ahead for the program. This class, or this freshman class, consists of Matt Klein, Caden Rupert, Dan Dilbeck, and Frank Izzy, the artist formerly known as Frizzy. This group added some big hits, fresh skating legs, just being a little bit more youthful, and 100% comedic relief. Yeah, whether it was hockey related or not, but much needed. Throughout a year, as serious as things can get. So the program is definitely in definitely in good hands, and will be fun to watch these guys mature as well. Rounding out the JV team is none other than the backbone and Iron Man, Steven Lichardello. Uh, can't say enough about Steve. Shows up day in and day out. Made I think almost every practice, maybe a couple here and there, and played all but one game this year. Steve, saw over 20 plus shots a game, and endless shots of practice. We try not to give him every week, so we weren't wearing him down. By the end of the year, but really, stood on his head for a lot of games, kept us in games, and helped us with that, that run through the end of the year. So that does it for the 2019 2020 JV team. And before we get wrapped up, we have a couple of end of year awards to announce. The physical awards will be given at a later date, but we wanted to acknowledge those recipients at this time. We have 5 awards, and I'll go through them. The uh, first two that we have are coaches awards. The first recipient is Pat Doherty. Pat demonstrated, outstanding hockey knowledge. Was really a team first guy, and was, always, willing to turn around and, ask to be out on the ice. Coach, do you need me? Do you need me to, play defense, play offense? This year, fortunately, he was able to play, a majority of the year at the center position, and, was a 200-foot player. He was wreaking havoc in front of the offensive zone net. But you could also just as easily find him, down in the defensive end, clearing out the front and, helping Stevie and the defenseman out. He, respected amongst his peers and his coaches, myself, Mike, and Greg, really, viewed Pat as a big impact player on the team, and, well deserved. So congratulations, Pat. The second coaches award we were given to Franny Dewar. As I mentioned earlier, Franny's an excellent stay-at-home defenseman and a great decision maker, and he really worked on that throughout the year. We talked about, during the year, slowing the game down for himself, and, allowing him more time, to make those great decisions and, be a puck mover. So coming from the defensive end, it's important to be decisive, and, it all starts with that first pass out of your own end. And Franny, did a great job as, developing that, that tool in his game, more and more throughout the year. And he also emerged as a vocal leader later in the year, and the coaches took notice of that. So congratulations to Franny as well. The next two awards are the offensive and defensive players of the year. For the offensive player of the year, this individual was a very crafty player. I can see the skill set there and the ability, to be shifty. Ended up leading the team in scoring this year, not by surprise to any of us, and expecting to make big contributions in the coming years. Um, and also got about maybe 10 to 15 words out of him this year, and might speak a little bit more to the assistant coaches. But we'll work on that as well. But huge congrats to Ronan Mulholland. Well deserved, award for him. This next individual was for the defensive player of the year. This person made an impact from day one, and the reason I say day one is it was an incoming freshman, and kind of blown away by the talent level, and provided many highlight reels throughout the year, and even several times where it caught the coaches off guard. Did that really just happen? This individual is a offensive capable defenseman, but also locks down the defensive end as well and takes care of that first. Was excited to work with him and develop his game, and will certainly be a force to reckon with over the next couple of years. Excited to see where he grows. Congratulations, the defensive player of the year for JV, Aiden Curtis. Lastly, we have the team MVP award, and this award can be given to someone for many of reasons. Could be a captain, just an overall leader by example, vocal leader, the point leader, several different categories. But this player took on a whole new responsibility this year. Really, I think came out of his shell from what the coaches viewed, became a huge presence in the locker room and on the ice. Something that we took notice of nearly right away, and it stuck the entire year. As I mentioned, his actions were noticed by his peers and coaches, which earns tons of respect. he was given 100% practices games, at any point during the year. And when you're given that effort, I certainly give the freedom to demand that from your teammates as well. And it's really only to make everyone around you better. He played a pivotal role in our playoff run and scored a few very key goals. One being the overtime winner in our semifinal game versus Sun Valley, as well as the game tying goal in the championship game. And it was really pretty much a reward for an excellent season. And that MVP award for JV goes to Robbie O'Brien. So congrats. At that time, it wraps things up. So thank you. And I will pass things back over to Phil and the varsity staff.
Okay, now we're going to turn our attention to the varsity team. I think when you look back on the year, it was a tremendous year. The team really came together well. Obviously, we won a lot of games, and we said all along that our goal was to play our best hockey at the end of the year, and I think we definitely accomplished that. I heard a coach out at Iceline mention that if it's March, Springfield comes to play, and that's high praise, and we should all be proud of that and proud of the way that we continue to develop over the course of the year, and again, played our best at the end of the year. We didn't accomplish everything we wanted to in the Flyers Cup. That'll be a challenge for us next year, underclassmen. Think about that, file that away. But certainly the Central League Championship was just awesome and a tremendous memory, something that we'll all remember for a long time. So I'd like to acknowledge the players. I mean, certainly we don't, they're not coming up and accepting letters and certificates. So we'll do something a little bit different. We'll recognize them in groups. We'll start with the forwards, and we'll start with the Curtis Crane Romolini line. I mean, they proved to be a handful. Other teams really focused on trying to shut them down. I mean, Ryan with his great hands and nose for putting the puck in the net. Zach, very skilled, plays the game the right way, smart, does all the little things that are important. And Dom with his great speed and tremendous vision that you cannot teach vision. And so the three of them really came together and were a force all year, but especially at the end of the year. And we had two lines that had two seniors and a sophomore that played together a lot of the year. Hopkins, Zappo, and DeStefano, both Colin and Aiden, overcame some early obstacles to become leaders of the team. Both play with a lot of passion. Both are really competitive. It was fun watching them compete with each other and get on each other. But they set the tone for the team with their competitiveness and how hard they worked every shift. And the physical part of the game comes naturally to Devin. It doesn't for most players, but it does for Devin. And he's a really important part of our team because that's an important part of hockey. Looking forward to having him back next year. So the other line there is Francis Noel Hannigan played together a lot. Jason really stepped up for us. It didn't matter really who he was playing with, and we had him playing with a lot of different people. He had big goals in important games, especially in the playoffs. And Shane lost some time due to injury, but on the ice, no one worked harder or gave more of himself. And all Colin did, let me think, he scored a goal in overtime. What game was that? I don't know. It'll come to me. But Colin also had a tremendous year, and looking forward to having him back next year. And Rupert Barrett Bauman, Chad, a big, strong forward, also very skilled, which is quite a combination. Looking for Chad to have a major role next year. Chris kept getting better all year long, using his size and nose for the net to his advantage. And Adam is the kind of player that winning teams need. He just works hard. He does all the little things that don't show up in the score sheet, but his teammates and his coaches know that's important. We had some other players that made important contributions. Brett Barber played a bunch late in the season when we had some injuries in the playoffs and did something positive every time he was on the ice and did whatever we asked him to do. Zach Perkins also played a good number of games for us and had an impact, particularly early in the middle of the year. So those are the forwards. Defensemen, Ryan O'Connor, goodness, Ryan established himself as one of the best defensemen in the league as a sophomore, which is just really, really impressive. We leaned on him a lot, especially when we lost Tom to some injuries. Tom Gable really had a difficult year with injuries, but he's such an important part of our team, and I know he's going to bounce back next year. Looking forward to that. Connor Rysak took a big step forward this year. He earned major minutes, played in every key situation, and had a big year for us. Couple of sophomores, Scotty Francis and Nolan Huntley, both played really important minutes and got valuable experience playing in key situations. Got kind of thrown into all kinds of situations and both did a great job for us. Ryan Zagraki, he played forward, he played defense, he did whatever he could to help the team be successful. And we also got contributions from Tyler Beecher early, and Aiden Curtis filled in for us when we had some injuries late in the year. I want to recognize them as well. And then finally, our goalies. I'll tell you, not many teams can say they've got two number one goalies, but that's what we have. Both Luke and Tyler did a great job this year, won a lot of games for us. Tyler really came up big late in the year and in the playoffs. Really was a key part of the run that we had late in the year. We also have full confidence in Luca to step in at a moment's notice. So really just thrilled with both of our goalies, and we're so fortunate to have two tremendous goalies. So with that, we're going to take a look at the varsity awards. Okay, for our varsity awards, got a few players that we'd like to recognize for their contributions over the course of the season. The first is the Hobie Baker Award. Most of you know the story of Hobie Baker, a tremendous athlete at Princeton, but was recognized for as much what he did off the field as on the ice or the field. He had a positive impact on everyone he came in contact with. This player fits that description. Tremendous player who had a big impact on the team, but also treats his teammates and opponents with respect. The Hobie Baker Award goes to Zach Crane. Congratulations, Zach. Next up are the Varsity Coaches Awards. Coaches wanted to recognize three players this year. First is Shane Knoll. Shane suffered through some frustrating injuries, as I mentioned previously, but he's got a real passion for the game and a passion for this team and our program. And when he was on the ice, he made things happen and gave everything that he had. Shane Knoll. The second Coaches Award goes to Ryan O'Connor. We may soon run out of superlatives to describe Ryan's play, but he again had a major impact on the team, and the coaches wanted to recognize that and his impact that he had on the defense and on the entire team. He's also not afraid to raise issues in a constructive way, which is a sign of Ryan's maturity. And finally, Colin Hopkins. Colin's a great example of overcoming obstacles. A difficult start to the season, but he was able to overcome that, and his passion and his competitiveness and his natural leadership really became an important part of our team dynamic. And the coaches wanted to recognize Colin for coming back and having a positive impact. So those are the Coaches Award winners. Next is our Tradition Award. This goes to a player that's demonstrated elements of what our tradition is all about, doing whatever he's asked to do, putting the team ahead of his individual interests, and also coming up big when opportunities present themselves. And this year's Tradition Award goes to Jason Francis. Congratulations, Jason. Our Warrior Award, we started this a few years ago. This goes to a player who literally gives everything of himself to help the team be successful, willing to put the time to work on and off the ice. And the Warrior Award goes to Aiden Zappo. Congratulations, Aiden. And for Most Valuable Player, I'll tell you what, we as coaches, when we sat down to think about the most valuable player, and I personally had a very difficult time, and I with this award, and I think that says a lot about the varsity team this year. We talked about one of the strengths being our diversity and our depth. And we're not a team that was built around one player, which is really one of the major strengths of our team. So there are a number of players that we could have recognized with this award, but we decided to recognize two players that were important for us all year, but in particular late in the year when other teams really keyed on them and they continued to make positive things happen for the team. Our co-MVPs this year are Ryan Curtis and Zach Crane. Congrats to Ryan and Zach. We have two other awards that are not specific to varsity or JV. The first is the Student Athlete Award. The Student Athlete Award is one that's important to our program. We talk a lot about the priority that schoolwork needs to have. It's important to me personally. I can appreciate how difficult it is to balance making schoolwork a priority and playing a high school sport. I had a son and a daughter that played multiple high school sports and played in college, so I certainly appreciate how hard it is to place that priority on schoolwork and at the same time focus on being a high school athlete. It also means a lot to our alumni. Our alumni make a contribution of $250 to this person to help support their post-high school plans. So this goes to the senior with the highest cumulative GPA, and I think for the first time that we've ever had, this person has a cumulative GPA of 100. So I'm pleased to announce that the winner of our Student Athlete Award is Brett Barber. Congratulations, Brett. The other award that is not specific to either varsity or JV, but is specific to a senior, is the Mike Lucy Award. It's a very important award for our program. Mike Lucy suffered an aneurysm while watching Springfield's annual Thanksgiving Day hockey game in the year 2000 and passed away later that night. At the time of his death, Mike was president of the Springfield High School Ice Hockey Club. Mike was a tireless worker committed to providing the best hockey experience for all players at Springfield. He helped to build the organization into what it is today. His commitment to forming a Central League for hockey provided leadership and is one of the reasons we have a Central League today. And Mike was also very much a part of the movement to have ice hockey recognized as a varsity sport at Springfield. And the Mike Lucy Award was instituted the spring after Mike passed away. It's awarded to a senior with two primary criteria. One planning to attend college or trade school, and the other exhibiting the commitment to Springfield ice hockey that Mike had, always conducting himself in a way that reflects positively on himself and the program. And this year, this award is going to a player who really embraced a leadership role. So proud of everything that he has accomplished over the time he's been in our program. A tremendous work ethic, treats people with respect, sets the right example for other players, particularly the younger players. Happy to announce the winner of the Mike Lucy Award is Alex Klein. Congratulations, Alex. So now it's time for us to take a look at the highlights of the year on the ice, our year-end video. It's something we look forward to every year. Again, we can't do that together, but really happy that we're able to view this. And thanks again to Fran Dorr for such a great job putting the highlights together. Here we go. All right, so time to wrap this up. Close the chapter on this past year. Again, thank you so much to everyone who helped to make this past season possible, and no one more so than the parents. Thanks again to parents for all your support and commitment and sacrifice over the year. We're already starting to look ahead to next year, at least with fingers crossed. With so much uncertainty, we're hopeful that we'll have a season next year. We're hopeful that we'll be able to go to Penn State. If we do, that weekend is August 28th to the 30th. But again, in these uncertain times, the best thing we can do is continue to stay in communication with you, and the board will definitely do that. We'll continue to keep in touch with regard to registration, and as things become a little bit more clear in terms of the school year and scholastic sports, we'll find our way and look forward to a time when we're all back on the ice. So again, thanks to everyone for a tremendous year. I appreciate very much everything everyone has done to make this program successful, and something that we are all proud to be a part of. Thanks again. Have a great summer, and we'll look forward to talking again soon.